I'm Cathlyn Choi, a Korean chef now living in the US. My passion is creating healthy and delicious foods using some of my favorite Korean ingredients. Join me in learning about Korean foods, ingredients, and culture. Next on Cathlyn's Korean Kitchen. Today, I'll be making nutritious multi-grain rice called japgokbap in a traditional dolsot stone pot. Protein-packed samjang using tofu and Korean dwenjang and gochujang paste, served with leafy greens. Using the leftover ingredients, I'll be making a fusion tuna rice ssamjang wrap, low in carbs and high in protein and fiber. 안녕하세요 and hello, welcome to Cathlyn's Korean Kitchen. I'm going to start with the basics of Korean food. The staple food of Koreans is pap, which translates into boiled rice in English, but it also means meals in general. But first, I'd like to share with you the cultural meaning of pap in the Korean way of life. Korean food is like no other in the world as far as taste, style, and nutrition. In Korean culture, rice represents the beginning and end of life. Whereas the first meal for a newborn baby is rice gruel, the last meal offered to a deceased is a bowl of rice for nourishment in the afterlife. For thousands of years, a large cast iron pot known as gamasot could be found in the kitchen of every household in Korea. The heavy lid over the gamasot raises the pressure in the pot for the rice to cook evenly over a wood fire. In addition to plain white rice, Koreans consume a variety of grains and beans that are high in protein and fiber. For example, ogokbap or 5-grain rice is typically made with sweet rice, barley, millet, black and red beans. In the old days, ogokbap was prepared and shared with neighbors during Cheongwol Daeborum, wishing for another year of peace and good harvest. This is still an important day that falls at the end of winter on the first full moon of the year, and is still celebrated even to this day. As for the Korean dining etiquette, there are certain rules that apply. Utensils are generally made from metals like silver or brass, and whereas the chopsticks are used for side dishes, the spoon should only be used when eating soups and rice. Rice is also considered a sacred food in Korea, so it is considered disrespectful not to finish every last grain in each bowl offered. Let's start by making nutritious japgokbap, which is multi-grain rice. Traditionally, the most commonly eaten rice is white kelros rice, but I prefer to eat multi-grain rice because it has more nutritional value compared to plain white rice. I'm going to mix the multi-grain rice and a cup of jasmine rice. So it's really important to combine the right amount of water when cooking rice. And also it's important to rinse the rice several times. And no matter how much rice you're going to cook, what I usually do is put my hand at an angle. And when the water reaches a little bit above the knuckles, that's the perfect amount of water. If you don't have a dolsot pot, you can always use a rice cooker or a regular saucepan. But I have to say the texture and taste of the rice cooked in a stone pot is quite distinct and flavorful compared to rice that's cooked in a regular rice cooker. So here I have about 2 cups of water. So set it on high. Wait for the rice to come to a boil, and then we will lower the heat and close the lid and let it simmer. For the ssamjang sauce, Primarily, you would need some tofu. Here I have a quart of tofu, which is sliced in half. I'll use half for the samjang right now and half for later. I would recommend getting medium firm tofu. The firmer it is, the less moisture it has. Very simple. Again, you can break the tofu with your hands. We're just gonna coarsely chop them up. They're gonna get cooked in the little clay pot that we typically use to make samjang sauce. So first, the Korean dwenjang paste, which is the soybean paste. A lot of you know it by miso. 2 tablespoons of dwenjang paste. And then I have Korean chili paste called gochujang sauce, which I'm going to use quite a bit in most of my recipes. I would always go with 2-to-1 ratio, so just a little bit less than the dwenjang. The sesame oil, half a tablespoon. And mix them all together. Next, I'm going to chop up some green onions. Toasted sesame seeds. And like I said, the pine nuts, just a handful of them. It gives the samjang a very earthy flavor. It's really great. Little nutty flavor in there. Smells really good. This is the traditional clay pot that we normally use to make our samjang sauce. If you like meat, you can also add some ground beef into the mixture, but I like it this way. I get all my proteins from the tofu and the soybeans. Turn the stove on, medium-low heat. Right there. For about 15 minutes. And I think the rice is done. Wow, yes, it looks delicious, and I can smell the aroma of this multigrain rice mixed with the jasmine rice. It's really great, and texture looks great too. You can just tell. And check out the rice. Yes, nice and steamy. So the great thing about stone pots, the rice stays warm for a long time. Here you go, nice and steamy. The aroma is really great. Okay, let's check on the samjang sauce. Wow, yes, it's all ready. Like I said, they're all vegetables and tofu, so they cook pretty quick. Turn the stove off. And we're just going back here. Yes, sizzling still. It's really hot. And like the rice, it will stay warm and hot for a while to enjoy the dish. I have a heap full of fresh leafy greens here, lettuce, and some sesame leaves. Look at them. They've already been washed and dried. Fragrant. And those of you who are not familiar with sesame leaves, they're kind of like, it tastes like in between mint and basil. So they're very flavorful. Here's how you eat your sambal. It's my chopsticks. Since I love sesame leaf, I'll grab a piece. Just take the end off like that. I'll just grab a little piece here of the lettuce. It's like making your own little burrito, mini burrito. Grab a little bit of rice, yummy, and some ssamjang. That's all you need. All the flavors are already in there. So you wrap them up and you eat it. Delicious. let's check with my friend Woody, who happens to be a liquid chef, and see what kind of special drink he can come up with using some of the Korean ingredients.
Okay, this is where things go a little bit cuckoo garoo, because Cathlyn's given me a couple of ingredients that really just don't fit into drinks at all. Okay, I'm talking about rice powder, which I think it's called sal garu. Like garu is for powder and sal is for rice. And this one here is a roasted bean powder. I think it's called kongaroo. Not like kangaroo, like me, Australian. So I'm going to make a margarita out of all of this stuff. And this is like no other margarita you've ever seen or heard of, because traditionally sugar and lime is the base for any kind of margarita. First up, I'm going to talk to you about how to make the rim for it. I'm going to use just some normal salt. In fact, it's actually not normal salt where I come from the Murray River in Australia. And I'm going to mix that with the bean powder. And this is going to be the little thing that I put around the rim. So a couple of limes, put it down, give it a twisty twist like that. And then just put it into the bean powder and the salt. And that is your first step. And it's just about finding the right amount of ice to get in your glass. With this, I'm going to balance what we would normally have as the sweetness and the sour of the lime and the sugar with vinegars. This is a raspberry wine. So the raspberry wine I'm going to use, this one here is actually called pomegranate vinegar. It's a drinking vinegar that you can put with soju if you like to freshen it up. And it's both sweet and sour. So I'm going to put equal parts of this. But with this crazy stuff, which is the persimmon vinegar, this is the stuff that just cuts through any sugar and makes you go, wow, I just had something. You only need about 1/4 ounce. Good amount of tequila, because we have to stay true to the whole idea of a margarita and use tequila. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. In she goes. And this is kind of gonna freak everyone out that there's no fresh lime actually in it. I know, but trust me, vinegar as an acid to balance sugar is the way forward. For the garnish, I actually used the rice powder and I mixed it with gelatin and also aloe vera. So aloe vera works with gelatin particularly well. It's nice and sweet. But then I also got this plum vinegar as well. So I've got a sweet and sour. The rice wine in here is with the aloe vera, and that's making a tang. And then the nice rice powder with the gelatin in there, making a jade effect, is actually going to turn into, when you cut it up, your garnish, like this. You get the saltiness, the nice toastiness of the bean, then you get the sourness and the fruitiness, the tequila hit. You follow it with one of these, and you have arrived down in Koreatown, like that. Margarita heaven.
Olé, Woody! That salgaru margarita looks heavenly. So when I cook, I usually like to make a little bit extra for leftovers. So using the leftovers from earlier, I'm going to make delicious tuna rice wrap with cheese. And also the Korean miso soup called dwenjang. Let's start off with the ingredients that I need to prepare. A little bit of slicing and cutting here. I have a Korean hobak, which is the zucchini, brown onion, and sweet potato. Traditionally, we use regular potatoes, but I love sweet potatoes and they're healthier for you. They taste good as well. I'm going to also use this zucchini. I'm not going to use too much, but I'm going to make enough dwenjang for about 2-3 servings. I'm just going to use half of this. And start with the sweet potatoes. There's no rule to it. I just like to have everything cut off in the same size so that they cook in the same amount of time. So all I'm doing is chopping up like this, dicing up. And then the zucchini, the same thing, in about a 1/4 inch thickness like this. For the onion, I'm just going to use about a 1/4. And this, I'm just going to slice it this way. Some garlic here. Here's the half the curd of tofu we had from earlier. And the same thing, little thin slices here. And I'm gonna do cubes. So turn it over, cut them in half, and then turn it over, and you get cubes like this. Very simple. See the prep time? Less than 5 minutes. I'm gonna move them all onto a plate. And one of the most important things about the soup is the stock. So in most Korean soups, we use a lot of anchovy and sea kelp soup base. Now to make the anchovy and sea kelp base, first fire up a wok or deep saucepan. Add a teaspoon of cooking oil. We need to roast the dried anchovies until they get browned and crispy. Add 5 cups of water and the tashima slices. Here I'm adding a tablespoon of soy sauce for a little salty flavor and a color. Let it come to a boil and simmer for additional 5 minutes. Turn off the heat and let it stand for 30 minutes to bring out the rich flavors from the tashima and anchovies. Then strain into a bowl to filter the liquid, and we have mild and flavorful anchovy sea kelp base. And instead of using the traditional clay pot, most of you don't have them, so I'm using a regular pot here. So I'm going to use a little bit of the sunflower oil, which is less in fat and calories. I'm going to also mix a little bit of sesame oil. I'm going to add some dwenjang soybean paste, 2 large tablespoons. And to these, we'll add the anchovy sea kelp paste. I have about a 1/4 cup. So it's really important to fry the dwenjang paste in little sesame oil before you add the water. That brings out all the flavors from the soybean. So while the dwenjang soup is coming to a boil, I'm going to start working on making the wraps. So here I have a couple of pieces of low-calorie, low-carb, high-in-fiber whole wheat tortillas. To this, it's pretty simple. I'm going to add the sesame leaves, very fragrant. Just cut the ends off like before. We'll add the rice from earlier. Some canned tuna. Next, the Ssamjang sauce goes over it. So for the protein, we got the tuna and the tofu. If you don't want cheese, that's fine. But here, if you love cheese, I'm just going to cut this in half. Roll them tight as you go. It's beautiful wraps. Packed with proteins, vitamins, and fiber. It's great for parties. You can have them for snacks or even for lunches. Tuna, rice, and samjang wrap. I've prepared some gochujang sauce vinaigrette. So all I added was a little sugar, a little bit of vinegar to the gochujang sauce, and a dash of sesame seeds. Delicious. Now let's check on the dwenjang guk. Okay, it's coming to a boil here. Now it's time to add all the vegetables. Like I said, the vegetables you can eat raw. I eat them raw, even the sweet potatoes. So I'm gonna put all the vegetables all in there. They cook pretty much about the same time. And in my soups, I like it a little crunchy too, for the texture. So with the onions, all it goes. And in the end, I'm just going to sprinkle some chopped green onions. And it'll be ready. So let it boil for additional 3-4 minutes and the soup's done. The soup's coming to a boil, so turn it off. And onto a bowl. Smells really good. The tofu's soft. The zucchinis and the sweet potatoes have also softened. Like al dente, not too mushy. And to this, I'm going to just sprinkle some freshly chopped green onions and sesame seeds on top. Delicious and nutritious miso soup. In Korean, we call it dwenjang. Now it's time to see what Dr. Dia has to say about the health and nutritional benefits of today's ingredients.
In Asian healing traditions, food is considered medicine. For example, the black rice used in today's show is highly anti-inflammatory and higher in antioxidants than blueberries. Protein-packed millet maintains a healthy gut lining, barley helps with indigestion, and mung beans cool fever, relieve thirst, and are even an effective antidote against certain poisons. So when you're eating bap, it's like getting a well-stocked and delicious herbal pharmacy. Too bad your chef doesn't take health insurance.
Next time we'll discuss the variety of side dishes called banchan, the heart and soul of Korean food. So until then, take care everyone, and remember, life's delicious, so taste it.